Last night during Super Bowl 51, we watched a historic event. We watched a team rally from a record deficit to not only tie the game, but to win the game in overtime. Now, if I was on the field, would have done things a little differently, and it would have been a blowout. The Falcons wouldn't have lost; they would have won the game 50-0. But I wasn't there, had to watch from the sidelines, and as a result, the Patriots took the lead and then won the game. What does this have to do with trading? Well, more than you might think. We're going to break it down in today's Midday Market Recap.
All right, guys, so let's do a little midday market recap. We'll go over the trades from this morning. We'll talk about my best trades of the day, my worst trades of the day, and then the topic of the day will be momentum. And as an example of momentum, we're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl and the football game last night, because I think that was a really good example of seeing momentum and seeing it in a different sense than we're typically used to. All right, so let's see. I'm going to show you to start my P&L for the day. So finishing the day up $932.11. Traded three stocks: ETRM, OPTT, and PULM. Now, on each of these, I took a fairly big size, between 4 and 6,000 shares. I was looking for follow through, looking for momentum, and I just didn't get it. So, I was basically stepping up to the plate on all of these trades, but we just didn't get that clean follow through and that resolution that I was looking for. But nonetheless, $932 is not a bad day. I suppose the only annoying part is the $274 in ECN fees and commissions combined, right? So I'm up 12.10 before commissions, but after is only 932. Having said that, this morning I started with $40,962 in my account, and so tomorrow I'll open just under a couple $100 under 42,000, which is obviously incredible. This is my 24th day trading in the small account, and I started this account with $583 on January 1st. So in 24 days, I've gone from $583 up to just under $42,000 in profits. Now, I'm waiting for my account to be ready to open at Speed Trader, and as soon as it's ready to fund, I'll be moving my money from Sure Trader over to Speed Trader. But in the meantime, while I wait, I'm just going to continue trading here. So you can see there's my P&L for today, and I would say the best trade of the day today, one of the cleanest setups that I saw was one that I didn't fully capitalize on, and it was the first 5-minute pullback on PULM. You can see right here with a potential entry at 480 and a move all the way up to 545. That was a really, really clean setup. Now I missed it, and I took the second 5-minute pullback, which was an entry at 510, where we moved up here only to 523, and then we rolled over. So unfortunately, the second pullback didn't end up holding, which was a little bit annoying, and I only made $70 on this stock today, despite some fairly decent opportunities. My concern with PULM was the fact that yesterday we had such a red day. That usually it would be pretty rare for a stock to recover a red day like that and go all the way up to the high and then squeeze. So I didn't think this would be one of those stocks that would move 50, 60, or 100%. And in fact, today we didn't have any really, really big movers. The only one that we had was Gale, Gale, which opened up something like 80%, but I didn't think it would be an easy one to trade. And you can see here on the daily chart, it sold off pretty much the whole day. So it just wasn't easy to trade. I'm not sure why it's not loading on my 5-minute chart. But we had Gale, no trades on that. ETRM, this one was a pretty solid setup here. I'll pull back to the 1-minute chart. Now this started to pop up here. You can see it started to pop up, it pulled back, and then the first 1-minute pullback after the break over this 20 moving average was the entry point. And this is a spot that lots of traders will watch. Entry right around 770, 775 for the move up to $8. And, this one didn't end up holding that level as well as I would have liked. I was thinking on the daily chart, because this was looking like it was going to be the first day to make a new high, that we would get some nice follow through and maybe move up towards, the high of this green candle here, which was 838, maybe make new highs, go up towards 10. But again, we just didn't have, any momentum behind this setup. And that's sort of what we noticed today. ETRM, no follow through. PULM, follow through on the first setup, but not on the second one. And even the first one was a little choppy. And then we had OPTT. And this was, I suppose, my worst trade of the day. Although it was a winner, I was really frustrated with the fact that it didn't give me the follow through I was expecting. Now, OPTT is a former runner. This is a stock that has a history of making big moves, and it was gapping up this morning on news. Now, as soon as the market opened, I looked at it. We opened at a low of 307, and as it started to pop up, I got in at 319, 320. We squeezed up to a high of 347, and I had 4,000 shares, and I was thinking this one is the type that could go, if it breaks over 350, we could go up to 4, maybe more. So I had a good profit, and then in the next candle, we drop all the way back down to 309, and then we come all the way back up to 346, and then we drop all the way down to 280. So it was just really choppy, and we didn't have that follow through that I was expecting. I ended up stopping out with about 10 cents of profit, 11, 12 cents, and that's fine, but it was really a fraction of what I was hoping for. And this is the thing, when you come off a week, last week where I made $37,000, and you're trading with some real momentum, it kind of feels like to get a trade that you only make 500 on or you only make 600 on, it feels like a miss. And the reality is $900, $1,000 is still a good day. And generally speaking, this should be a day that almost any trader would be happy with. But it's kind of in the shadow of a really big week last week, and that makes it a little hard to appreciate the win today. So we'll see what the market looks like tomorrow. Hopefully, we get a little bit more strength. But I want to talk for a moment about the momentum that we see in the market. Now, in general, like last week was fantastic. I mean, we were seeing really good follow through day after day after day. We were seeing 100% movers, 200% movers. We had BNTC, we had NAKD, we had PULM, there was DFFN. There were so many. I mean, it was just again and again and again. The next stock to pop up, goes straight to 50% gain. I mean, it was just incredible. And that was an opportunity for us to really capitalize. And what you kind of notice as you get into the zone, you're just like one winner after the next, and everything is connecting. And that's kind of, last night watching the football game, that's kind of how it looked when, the Falcons were playing in the first half and going into the beginning of the second half. They were really strong. Everything was just connecting. It was really impressive. And on the flip side, what you noticed with the Patriots is that it almost seemed like getting kind of just fumbled, just like kind of rassled. And that's something that I also noticed when trading is not going on my side, that I can start to get a little bit, frazzled and frustrated and more apt to make mistakes. And you guys saw that kick where, the guy just like missed the ball, and it's like, honestly, I mean, you've got one job to do. How does this happen? And that's sometimes how it feels when you're a trader, that you're, just get into these ruts where you keep making mistakes, and then they sort of compound onto each other because now you're getting frustrated and you're getting a little emotional and you're kind of grabbing at straws. And that can really create a downward spiral. And the mentality of knowing you're in the hole, you're 25 points in the hole the way they were last night, and that feeling of the game's over. I mean, we've lost. There's no team in the history of the Super Bowl has ever come back from this type of deficit to tie the game or win the game. And as a trader, when you go into a deep, kind of cold streak where it's just loss after loss, it starts to break you down emotionally because you just feel like everything you do is going the wrong way, and you feel like you're getting sloppy and you're not seeing things clearly, and you start making stupid mistakes, and that just makes the loss that much worse. And then what was really interesting was that shift where all of a sudden it was like everything came into focus and the Patriots really got into the zone. And as they got into the zone and started to really dominate, the Falcons started to get a little rassled and they started to slip up a little bit. And so that game was really an example of, you know, one team making an incredible comeback and another team giving up this huge lead. So it was historic on both sides. And both sides kind of exemplify some of the struggles that we have as traders. And how do you shift mindsets when you're in the mindset of, I'm losing, I'm down, I've had 5 losses in a row, I'm in a cold streak. How do you get out of that? And, for me, it's always come back to let's focus on doing what we know. And I create a game plan, and it really is. It's a game plan. I make a list. I say this is how I'm going to attack the day. I'm going to take 3 trades, and I'm only going to focus on 5-minute chart setups because 5-minute chart setups are some of the best. And I'm not going to allow myself to get distracted. I'm going to just take 3 trades, get in, get out, follow the rules. I make it very, very simple. And then, if the market's on my side, it connects, and I'm able to start to regain a little bit of composure. And then, once you kind of have that shift in mentality, now you just get a little momentum behind it. You get a little energy back there, and you start to really increase the wins. You start to increase your confidence, and now you start to feel like you're in the driver's seat and you're in the position of power. And now your mentality has really had that shift. So that shift is really important. It's something that we have to do sometimes intraday, where you lose 2 trades right out of the gates and you go into the hole. And they'll be like, Ross, there's never been a trader who's recovered from being down $1,000 to hitting his daily goal. Never in the history of trading has that happened. And it's your job now, either to basically stop out and you're done for the day, or to try to get back. And of course, with trading, we have to have these max losses where, if you're down a certain amount, you do have to walk away. You don't try to get back that same day. You wait till the next day. But I had a day where I lost over $30,000, and although I knew I wasn't going to be able to trade again that day, my accounts were locked up. I knew that I would come back at it tomorrow. But even the next day, I wouldn't be able to get it all back the next day. This would be a rebuilding process that would take place over the course of weeks and months, to try to rebuild that 30 grand that I lost. So this is something that as a trader, we see the world through the lens of kind of what we do every single day. And when I was talking about when I was driving race cars in Las Vegas, I was associating that experience with the experience of learning how to trade. And watching the game last night, seeing this team, and of course I'm from New England, so the Patriots has always been a team that I'm sort of root for. To see them really struggle in the first half, it was just like, wow, these guys are like really giving up the game. And you've seen teams do that where they start to fall into the red, and you've maybe have even had this happen yourself in a competitive sport where you kind of get a little behind, and then it changes the mentality, it changes the tone, because now you're spending the whole time playing catch up, and playing catch up is not really a position of being in the driver's seat. Once you get in the driver's seat, so you've probably seen this with like soccer in the World Cup. Once you've got a few goals, all you have to do is work the clock, and you've got it. For the opposing team to try to recover from being down to get back up to break even, they've got to work like twice as hard. It's almost like with trading when, if you've got $100,000 account and you lose 50% of it, you're down to 50,000. To get back to where you started, you've got to gain 100%. So getting back is like twice as hard as kind of getting the lead to begin with, and of course losing the lead can happen so fast, but regaining it is really, really hard. So it was definitely impressive to see that second half and really the last 10 minutes where there was just that surge and that huge amount of focus. The trades that I had last week, where I was able to make $37,000, the best week I've ever had, was the result of being very focused and seeing opportunity. And it was also the result of having just had a loss, a $13,000 loss, being in the hole, and now being super driven to try to get myself back to green, maybe back to break even. And then that, that kind of aggressive, just really want to get after it, get back on the horse, carried me through the rest of the week. So you can harness that energy, that feeling of I'm down and I'm struggling. That can motivate you to put in extra hours, to study harder, to focus, and to, really be the best possible trader. The challenge is that so many people allow that emotion to let them be impulsive and to let them do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do as a trader, which is take unnecessary risk, be overly aggressive, and ultimately give back a lot of profit. And I know that because I've had days where it just starts that downward spiral. And that's kind of when you start throwing Hail Mary passes, which again goes back to, the football reference. Just, do you get this game back by throwing, Hail Mary passes, or is it, doing what you know and just nailing it, again and again and again, 10 yards at a time, 15 yards at a time. And next thing you know, you're really taking control and you're gaining that momentum, you're gaining the confidence, and you're back in the driver's seat. So, today for me is one of those days where I certainly, I don't feel like I fell out of the driver's seat. It's just kind of a slow day. I think on Friday I made like $5,000. So, to make 1,000 today is good. I'm about 42% of the way to my $100,000 goal. So I'm not even halfway there yet. I've still got a long ways to go. I need to keep my focus. This is, to have a goal as big as 100 grand is also kind of exemplifies that this is not about a sprint. I know that I'm kind of sprinting where I'm, trying as quickly as I can to build the account, but at the same time, this is, a marathon. And once I hit 100 grand, I may just, continue trading, and then set my sights at 150,000 or 200,000 or whatever it is. And, maybe in a year or whatever, a couple of years, I'll be able to have grown this account up to 500,000, 700,000, $1 million. And that is the big picture, to be able to be a full-time trader, to generate $500 to $1,000 a day, to be able to pay your mortgage from these trading profits, or to buy a house or put a down payment on a house. I think that's what we all are doing this for, to make a living working from home and doing it on our own time. And it's definitely possible, but the struggle is that this is one of those careers where you always have to be really at peak performance. And so like a professional athlete or something like that, you're only as good as your last trade. Like a quarterback, you're only as good as your last throw, and that's definitely true with trading, and that creates a lot of pressure, which is not for everybody. And for me, it's something that's been a challenge at times, is coping with that pressure. That pressure has certainly been a lot higher this year because of the way I've done this challenge in such a public way, with so many people watching and commenting, and the bad days are there for everyone to see. Of course, the good days are there also, but it's the bad days that are really so hard. And I know that we will have a period during this challenge where we go into a kind of a slump, a slow period where I might only be able to make a couple $100 a day. And I'll be asking myself, am I the same trader that made, $22,000 in one day, in February? And the answer will be yes. But right now, the market is not on my side. And I've got to just kind of hunker down, wait for those opportunities to come to me, stick with what I know, and wait, patiently, because I will be able to regain control. The trick is not allowing yourself to have deep, deep drawdowns. And I had a deeper drawdown than I've had in over a year, or last week when I lost 13,000. So I stepped up to the plate, I got aggressive, and I got smoked. And that was a reminder to, yes, it's okay to be aggressive, but you have to you can't lose sight of risk. And every trade that we take carries a risk. So It's all about managing risk, controlling it to the best that we can. That's comes back to knowing our max loss on every single trade and knowing the types of trades that are more apt to give us, surprise slippage and things like that. A lot of the lower float stocks do have that extra risk, which we measure against the reward that these are the stocks that can go to, 50%, 100% when they go the right way. But when they go the wrong way, it can be really bad as well. So, that's kind of a recap of where we're at today on day 24 of the small account challenge, and just an interesting weekend to watch the Super Bowl and to kind of think about how that relates to the trades that we're taking here, and sort of the life experience of being a trader. The challenges that we have with the psychological aspects. I mean, it can be a challenge. So if you're a trader that's ever felt that way, you're not alone. I think we've probably all felt these struggles from time to time, and the best thing you can do is participate in these conversations where we kind of really think about it and get a better sense of the kind of underlying mechanics of these reactions. For me, a lot of times the down periods can be the result of some triggers and making some big mistakes and then getting shaken. That could be equivalent to a quarterback getting sacked and just sort of getting thrown off, and then it shakes them up for a little bit. But being able to come back to your center and feel grounded is something that you'll need to be able to master as a trader. So it's definitely something that we talk about a lot. All right, guys. So now I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of them. Let's see. Cool, Danny. I'm glad to hear that. Danny's saying that we've made a major difference in his trading, so that's awesome. And yeah, Hicham, the feelings of the days where you struggle and then back to back with winning days, it can be a real roller coaster. For me, I've had some of the big extremes, down 30 grand, and then last week up 37,000. So I've had these big extremes, and it makes the days like today of 1,000 up, 1,000 down feel like they're kind of in the range of it's no big deal, which is good. But it's something that is definitely a challenge with this job. It's not something you would probably experience in a lot of other jobs. Let's see. Question: since writing my book, is there anything I would change now or revise? Well, yeah, the book that I wrote in the summer of 2015, and since then, there are certainly some things that I would add to it. But in general, those strategies are the same strategies that I'm trading today. Looking for the momentum, looking for the gap and go trade, the first pullback, the second pullback, that type of stuff. So those strategies and those patterns all remain to be, really a core aspect of my my trading day every single day. And I think there's just maybe a few details that I would change, or maybe things that I would add to, offer more clarification and stuff like that. So Chan, when I started my account with $583, he's asking how did I trade with 4,000 shares. Now, when I first started that account, the first couple days I was only trading with 1,000 shares. I was buying $3 stocks for 1,000 shares, and that was $3,000. So with the $583, I was given leverage times 6. So 5 times 6, 6 times 6. I had around $3,500 in that account. So it's a fairly small account, and they don't give you leverage on stocks below $3, which is why I would only trade stocks $3 and higher, because the most I could take was 1,000 shares, and it just didn't make sense to trade 200 shares or anything like that of a $2 stock or something like that. I just couldn't make money on it. So I had a very narrow range of the stocks I could trade between $3 and $4, target being 1,000 shares. Once I built up the account, as I've got my calendar over here somewhere, the first couple days of January, I had some small gains, $124 on my first day, 187 on my second, 150 on my third, 150 on my fourth, 150 on my sixth, and then 250 on my seventh day, 268 on my eighth, and then 1700 on my ninth. So it was like slow, 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 and then I got a big boost forward. Just kind of during those first 8 days, it was kind of like today. There weren't a lot of stocks that were really opening up, so I was just taking that 10 cents when I had it, 15 cents when I had it, and I wasn't getting the follow through I wanted. But then I got that day with big follow through. The next day I made 2,300. So 2 days of awesome follow through, and then my account had grown substantially. So at that point I could take 2,500 shares, 4,000 shares of almost anything. The following day was 615. Then I had a day where I only made 47, and then 1,000, 319, 800, 468. So it kind of slowed down again for a couple days, and then it picked back up with 1,900, 2,200 and then 7,500, and that was the big day, 7,500. On that day I got up to 22,000, peaked at 22,000. The following day I lost 5,000, dropped back down to 16, and then I made 4,600, and then 14,000 on Thursday. I made $14,000 in that account on Thursday, which brought me up to 40 grand. So another 5,000, or that brought me up to 36,000 plus the 5,000 on Friday, brought me up to 40, just under 41, and now the 1,000 from today, 42, for 4,000, 40,000, $41,800, give or take. So yeah, obviously, I mean, I started slow, started building up, and I only have one red day, but it's a $5,000 loss. So it's a pretty bad day. I mean, even for an account, that's a big account, it was a bad day. For a small account, I lost 25% of the account in one day. But, that kind of, instead of getting shaken up and allowing myself to start making mistakes, I used that as kind of the inspiration to really focus, take my trading to the next level, and redeem myself. And I got redemption. All right, so let's see. Now, I like waiting for the first pullback. Ideally, whenever possible, I want to wait for the first pullback. Buying in the first 5 minutes is fine when we have a good pre-market chart, or when a stock has something really special like RGSE or OPTT because they're former runners. But generally, waiting for the first 5-minute pullback is better. So BNTC last week, for instance, we traded this one. Let's go back to that. This right here, awesome first pullback, awesome second pullback, super, super clean. Great opportunities there. We saw the same thing on NAKD, and we saw the same thing today on PULM. Those are the safe places to get into trades. So to find this entry, well, you've got to first find the stock hitting the high day scanner by squeezing up, and then you just keep it on watch and wait for the pullback. Wait for the pullback, wait for it. First candle to make a new high is your entry. The challenge is that it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to miss that opportunity because you're watching, 10 other stocks that also hit the scanner, and so it's not uncommon to miss them, but this really is the safest entry. So Wilson, the fantasy stock trading platform has a 5,000 share limit, basically to help you not get too aggressive. It's not realistic to take 10,000 or 20,000 shares in the simulator because it's very unlikely you would trade with that kind of size when you go live. I mean, when I first went live, I was trading with a couple thousand shares, but definitely not 10,000 or 20,000. I mean, it's just not realistic. And even if you're in the simulator and you're like, well, I'm making really good money with 10,000 shares, it doesn't perfectly reflect slippage and issues with liquidity. I mean, the simulator will let you buy 50,000 shares if we allowed you to, and you wouldn't. That's not realistic because you wouldn't be able to buy 50,000 shares of these stocks, and get filled at that penny. You'd get slippage, and so we try to kind of keep you guys trading small to focus on building your foundation, building your skill. And if you can make money with, less than 5,000 shares, you should be able to do okay. Um, and this is important for all students, that you have those, kind of ground rules of position sizing and max loss and that type of thing. So on the simulator, we also have a max loss. If you're below the max loss, you can't keep trading, and you can't take more than 10 positions at once. So it's trying to keep it realistic. And yeah, if you're trying to, go in with 20,000 shares to make back money that you lost, that's that kind of overly aggressive mentality. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not something that, I haven't done before. I have. Sometimes I'm able to come out on the right side, and other times I lose. But, I've been doing this for a long time. So when I decide to revenge trade or get aggressive, I'm doing it from a very, I've got a lot of educated intuition. It's not just intuition, I think this will go up. It's educated based on experience, based on watching similar setups. And that means that if I'm going to choose to be aggressive, odds are, with 65, 70% accuracy, I'll still be right. So that's okay. I can usually do that. But a beginner trader with 30 to 40% accuracy, you're not in a place where you can be that aggressive and count on having a win. You're more likely to have a loss. Benjamin, you can't sell on the level 2 whether someone's long or short. I mean, because a buy order is a buy order, a sell order is a sell order. So you don't know if it's long, short, if it's covering or anything like that. So it can be a little bit of a challenge, to sort of interpret, is this someone short selling? Is this someone buying long or covering short, etc.? And there's a few things that we can do to sort of get a sense of what it might be based on looking at the chart pattern, knowing if the stock has short sale restriction. We know that people can't short on the bid. So therefore, anyone selling on the bid would be a long trade, getting out. So, there's a few ways you can draw some conclusions, but it's not always completely concrete. So if you ever see the ask at $6, but the stock is around $4, it's usually that you have a stale order that's just kind of sitting there on the level 2. And we see that sometimes. It could be a stock that has a very big spread, but I can flip through a couple stocks. We saw it earlier today on PULM, where the level 2 is crossed. APVO. Kind of, I don't know the odds of finding one just flipping around here. But yeah, essentially it's if the bid price is higher than the ask price, stuff like that, it's an order that's just kind of stuck there, and they get cleared out eventually. And you if you tried to buy, you wouldn't be buying or selling based on that stale order, because it wouldn't be the actual best bid. All right, so Aman, yeah, let's briefly look at a good daily chart. This is something that a lot of traders ask me about, and as part of the class, we talk a lot about drawing windows on charts. So a window on a chart is an area with no resistance, and MYOS was a great example of this the other day. So when we look at these charts, let me just back this up here. You can see here on MYOS, there's a couple things I look for. I like to see the price above the 200 moving average. That's the purple line, we're above it. I like to see the price above the 9, the 20, and the 50 moving average. That's the gray, the blue, and the red line, and we're above it. So the next high is right here at 407. All right, so I look to the left, and I look up, and I see, well, where's resistance? Okay, so we've got the high right here, that's resistance. And then we look left and up. What's the next one? And it would be the high of this candle right here, this red candle. So I'd be like, okay, that's the next level. Then we look left and up, and the high is here. So what we've essentially done is kind of created these windows, here, and right in here, this area. For some reason my chart's being a little weird, right in there, and then maybe a little window kind of like right in here. So when this stock started to open up, we were like, okay, we've got all this potential. Once we break over this level, we've got room to this level, to this level. Now, in contrast, a stock like, I'll use SSH. This is one that I was looking at this morning. It was gapping up slightly. So this one has a couple of problems. The first problem, the stock is below the 200 moving average, but it has a lot of room up to the 200, like 10 points. So if we get above, let's say, the 50 moving average, we've got some room. But we're below right now. In addition to being below the 200, we're also below the 9, the 20, and the 50. So as this gaps up, it's going to run into these resistance levels. And remember, I happen to use the 9, the 20, the 50, but other traders use the 10, the 25, and the 60, or the 10, the 50, the 100. And what that effectively does is it puts lots of lines of resistance above this level, lots of lines. So as soon as we come into them, there'll be some traders who decide to sell, and that creates an issue. And now, if we tried to even look at windows, we could say, okay, well, I'm looking for a bigger one. So maybe you've got, kind of one from there to here, but in between that, you have the resistance of the moving averages. So it's not that clean. Then you've got that, which starts to look a little bit better, and that, again, to the left and up, but you don't have, it would take so much for us to get to there because first we'd have to get over all of these moving averages. All right, so now in contrast, let's see, let's just look at a couple. This one we traded recently on the break of the 200 because once we were breaking over that level, then we had lots of room to move up, but we first had to break over the moving average. RGSE, we recently traded this one on a bounce, which was kind of a risky trade, but this was the first candle to make a new high. We knew we would hit resistance at the moving average, but we had some room up to the moving average from our entry. Because on this, our entry price was right here at right around $4, $4.50, and we had room up to like $5.50 to the moving average. So that one was okay to trade. GLBS, let's look at this one. This one kind of pulling back, consolidating, first candle to make a new high would be good. Volume is light, it needs catalyst, but that one could be okay. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some other ones. I was trying to think of one that's, so this one's below the 200 right now. You can see if it can get above that level, then it's got a lot of room. This is almost, by itself, just once you can get over that level, it's kind of going to be a new base, and that level's at $4, so we're a ways away. Let's see, NVDA. Yeah, now this is one of those ones that's pretty extended to the upside. So the safe entry would be pullbacks down to the moving average. Consolidation at the moving average, a bull flag, and then to ride the momentum back up. We're above the moving averages, which is great, but buying it at high a day is pretty risky. OPTT, yep. So this one, I thought we were going to break over the 200 right out of the gates. And if we broke over that level, then I was thinking we had room back up towards 5. There's a couple little areas of resistance, like right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. But again, that's from 359 up to 589. Those are some pretty nice windows. So good potential on that if we could have broken over this level, which we were really close, but just couldn't quite do it. All right, so I always like to have a strong daily chart, but I will take trades with a weak daily chart if the stock is very, very strong intraday because it has a catalyst, which could be a reversal on the daily chart, or it could be some type of breaking news. All right, guys, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and upload this to YouTube. So those of you listening to the podcast or just watching on Facebook can rewatch this and see the charts as I'm explaining, because I know this is kind of, if you're only hearing the audio, it might be a little bit confusing. So I'll get those uploaded. Make sure you add comments on the YouTube and Facebook feed. I'll make sure I respond to them and answer the questions that you have. Tom, the list of former runners is a scanner that I have inside my platform, and those scans are available only for our students. But we do have a list of former runners, right? Where is it? Let's see, right here, former runners list. So that's a good list to refer to because, yeah, those are stocks that have a history of making big moves, and they're the type that can move again if they've got the right setup, the right catalyst. So it's always good to keep those on watch. And today was a little bit of a rest day, not a lot of follow through. We'll just kind of play it by ear. We'll take what the market's willing to give us. If it's only $1,000, then we'll take $1,000. If we can get more, obviously we'll push it a little harder. But today I'm not gonna try to trudge through and be really aggressive. It's not feeling like we're getting good follow through. So this is a good day to step out, kind of seek shelter from the storm, and then we'll get back at it first thing tomorrow morning for day 25 of the small account challenge. All right, guys. Thank you all. I will see you first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, thanks, guys.
Let's be honest. If you made it this far, you must have really enjoyed that video. So what's stopping you? Subscribe right here and get email alerts anytime I upload new content. Until then, happy surfing